It's a tense day down on the farm as once again Adam's cattle are being tested for TB. But first, he's got to deal with a lamb that's got herself into a tight spot.
This isn't really what I was expecting. Dolly, who's a gun dog but also a family pet, is stalking in on a lamb there. She's actually gone on point, and she spotted it before I did. It looks like a little lamb that's got its head stuck in the fence. Well done, Dolly. It's a Norfolk horn, and they grow these little horns, and it's just big enough at the moment to work a bit like a fishhook. It's pushed through the square of the netting, and now it can't get itself back out. So what I need to do is twist its head down one way and down the other, and then it'll slip out. That's it. Freedom.
It's important to check over the flock every day.
Go on.
2 weeks ago, I spotted a lame lamb that had an infected foot.
Quite sore, isn't it? Yeah. Ugh.
We treated the foot and injected her with antibiotics.
And now that little Cotswold lamb is doing really well. It's running around and it's not lame at all. And if we hadn't treated it, it would have been lame for some time. So it's quite a success story, really. Well, there's lots to do. Better get on. We're right at the end of lambing now. We've only got 2 or 3 left to lamb. And this ewe has given birth to triplets, 3 lovely little lambs. It's the first time she's given birth, and she's a good mum. She's licking them dry, but they're screaming a bit. They're obviously quite hungry. So what I'm going to do is just tip her up and suckle them on so they get a belly full of colostrum, the first milk that she produces. It's very important they get that. So there's the colostrum. There, he's suckling away. There's a ewe over there that's really making quite a din. She's obviously in the middle of giving birth, so I think this one's all right now. I better go and check her out. There you go, missus. She's making a lot of noise, this ewe, which is quite unusual. They usually lamb in quiet, but there it is. There we go. Obviously a little bit stuck. It's quite a big lamb. Hey, lovely. Just get it breathing. One little trick is to get a stiff piece of straw and just tickle the lamb's nose, and then it makes it sneeze like that. And in sneezing, it goes, and it has a big intake of breath that fills its lungs, and then they start to work. And now its head is up and it's breathing. You're a good little mum, aren't you? Leave her to it.
While my sheep seem to be in good health, it's a big day on the farm for my cattle. It's the first stage of our TB test.
The vet clips the hair on the animal's neck and then gives it an inoculum of bovine and avian TB. And then he'll come back in 3 days' time and measure the skin. And if there is a swelling, he'll be able to determine whether that's a TB reactor or not. And we've had a lot of trouble with TB over the last few years.
Last autumn, yet again we went down with TB.
Reaction. It's an absolute travesty, complete disaster.
2 of my precious white parks had to be slaughtered. We passed a test 60 days ago, and if we pass this one, we're in the clear. So I'm really hoping for some good news.
Usually, at this time of year, when the cattle have been indoors over the winter, they generally come out clear. So I've got, you know, my fingers crossed. I'm touching a lot of wood, hoping that this one will be a clear test.
Next up are my white parks. And finally, it's my Highlands turn. And with Eric the bull's new offspring, we're taking extra care.
Through the gate. Go on. Go on, take your babies. Go on. Good girl. Go on. Up, up, up. Go on. Have to be quite careful with the little calves, so I've left them out of this pen for now so they don't get squashed. But the poor little things have been soggy from the day they were born. I don't think they've seen any sunshine yet.
The Highlands are such good mothers, they hate being separated from their young.
They've got very thick skin, these Highlands, very tough. And this is the last of Eric's wives to give birth. And she's only a few days off calving. And what she ought to be doing is lying in the field, relaxing, taking it easy, and not being stressed at all. So putting her through this handling system is the very last thing I should be doing as a cattle owner. But we've got to do it. It's the law.
And I've got an anxious wait before the results of the testing in a few days' time. Around 26,000 cattle were slaughtered to TB in England just last year alone. So it's important that us farmers support one another. I'm heading to a farm in South Wales where the farmer has got longhorn cattle, which are a wonderful old traditional British breed. And in his latest TB tests, 17 of his cattle have reacted positive, which means they have to go for slaughter. Di Bevan has been farming longhorn cattle for 26 years, and there is passion. He's built his herd up to become a prize-winning one.
Basically everything that's in the shed here is going. As a breed, I'm sure you remember in the 70s, 80s, you couldn't get cattle like this. You know, they were scraggy old things, and the Longhorns improved so much over the last 20 years. I love feeding. My greatest pleasure is to go up and down the shed with a bucket throwing cake at them. And when something comes to the barrier to eat, that is the most, well, look at them. They're a wonderful breed, and I will miss them. I feel as if part of me has died, because when you've had stock, until you know what stock is, you know, there's a cow there. She's on the point of calving, and I hope that she calves before she's shot. She's not going today, but she's an inconclusive. But I'm hoping that she will calve, because, you know, she is on the point of calving. I don't know whether I'm in shock or it's just anger that's keeping me going. But until I come into this shed and there's nothing here, I don't think it's going to fully hit me.
It sounds like they might be here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's something I don't want to see, but I'll leave you to it, and best of luck.
Good.
As a farmer, I'm used to life and death on the farm, but I really don't want to see this. The slaughtermen are here now, and Di wants to lead the cattle out of the shed on a halter because they know him and they trust him, and then the slaughtermen will do their work. And Di has spent so much time over the last 30 years building up what is a wonderful herd of longhorns, and they mean so much to him. It really sends a shiver down my spine.
Later that night, Di's inconclusive pregnant cow did calve, and I really hope she survives to give Di the chance to rebuild his herd. But thankfully for me, it was great news. My herd passed their TB test, so for now, life's back to normal. Next week, I'm off to buy a Gloucester Old Spot sow and her piglets as a new addition to the farm.